Hi, Taurus. Alright, welcome to this space. Happy birthday, of course. I do hope you have an awesome birthday. I love May, right? All the April showers are done, at least in the north. And maybe that's the way it works in the south too. But yeah, all the April showers are gone, and now everything blooms, right? It's so pretty. So, the moon in Leo, the moon in Virgo, they're neighbors. These two are important. Maybe some of you are having a new appreciation for music or for plants or something along these lines. You know how they say if you want a plant to grow, you have to talk to it? You have to talk to it. Maybe there's something about that, Taurus. And also making sure that nothing is invading where you're growing, right? Or what you're trying to grow. The breeze is so gentle today. It's really nice. Oh, I also feel like your level of appreciation or something about you putting things in order have to do with the middle of the month. Maybe getting into that third week, second to third week. So 2 to 3 weeks from now. This is a good time to organize, to put things in order, to plant your seeds, and then to communicate about what those goals are. Do you know what I mean? You also have the Chariot on the bottom of the deck. So for some of you, home could be could be playing a role that's significant. Also, your relationships with others and how they are moving forward. You want to make sure that they're healthy. Okay, the alternative to this card is the Tower, so it's always important to, I'm glad you're on this end of it. So maybe you want to tap into where your positive relationships are again and where they are going. Maybe some of you could be thinking about moving, or again, home could be, maybe it's now until Cancer season, so July. So that's 2 months from now. Maybe you want to really, I see. So from now until 2 weeks, now until 2 months. So to me, Taurus always has a little bit of a hard time understanding time in a astrological sense. Time is different. When things are in your way, you kind of like just push your way through them as if they're not there sometimes, and that can be helpful in ways of persistence, but it can also you just want to make sure of what's and be aware of what's around you, and I suppose some time management could be good, especially if you're trying to grow anything, right, that needs timing, right? All plants, for instance, depending on what you're planting in your life, they all take different time frames according to when they will bloom and how much time and energy they need in between to ensure the growth of it, right? And let's open up your cards. These cards are so funny. Just a minute. I had to pick something humorous because it's been feeling a little serious. Not that isn't important. Wired, make sure you're not holding any energy that is not yours. I suppose this could be a good time for relinquishing yourself from something so that your heart is more open. Okay. Change. Okay, if any of you have been in a hard spot, especially in your head about something, that will come to change, okay? You're going to find, but the thing is, for you to find your truth about it, for you to find what it is that would be like the next step in the process, and to find clarity about that, is for you to actually make a decision, to make a decision in relation to that. Your strength right now actually is your ability for self-respect, the Empress. Your ability for self-respect. The Empress is, they say this is your card, right? They say it's your card. Well, but they also say that you don't care for change so much, or change is hard for you, especially when it comes to like a physical thing. Physical shifts, right? You can have the conversation about it, but like, can you actually physically do it is a big question for Taurus. So, but the thing is the Empress knows all about change. She's completely accepting to change. She knows that nothing happens without change, and that the only thing unchanging is change. You know what I mean? You know, I heard, don't cry for me, Argentina. Now, there could be a child or somebody that needs, oh my God, hold on a second. You know when something reminds you, okay, you have to pay attention when something, that sounded too stern. Let me try again. It's helpful to pay attention to when something reminds you of something else. Okay? And then finding the humor in it. Finding the humor in it. And then moving along in a mature way. Now, before your reading, when I was walking with Zumi, I had this epiphany. I knew I was going to record you today, probably Scorpio too. But I had this thought where I went back in time, because I just received some information from a friend of mine. Like, he had told me a part of his story, right? And then I was like, wow. I was like, that's what it was, like, trippy, you know? And and then days later, a little while later, it got me thinking about how what I could have done. And so, but instead of like being like, oh my God, I could have done that, you know, I could have done that. So let's look at this in two ways. One is, I suppose there's something that you can do that you're not doing. On the other side of the coin, I see that in ways of could've, would've, should've, you want to ensure that you are reminding yourself that, and however cliche, that everything happens for a reason. And understanding that if you could've, would've, should've, right? Like all those movies where it's like time jumping, right? And you try to go back in time and like change the past, right? So that this doesn't happen, or so that doesn't happen, or you try to fix things in this kind of way. It's like, you know, in a literal sense, like it always messes with the future, right? It makes a bigger mess. And in truth, you really can't go back and change the past. You just can't do that. Can you think about it differently? Can you mentally process what happened and find like an understanding of, okay, well, again, if I could, would have, should have done this, if I could have done this, but I didn't, well, I guess all these other things are supposed to happen in the way that they panned out. Now, here and where you are, this present moment, right? Not time jumping too far into the future, not time jumping too far in the past, where you are right now. A good question, I guess, is what is it that you could be doing that you are not doing? That's a big question. And I also see that from now until the other Venus time, Libra time, October, there's something like the next 7 months or so for October. So I see okay, now 7 months is the end of the year, and then we have till October, which is 6 months, right? How could that be? 6 and 7. 6s and 7s. What's that? 13? So there's some kind of big change happening in that time frame. I heard you could keep thinking about the past if you want to, but it would be better to pay attention to where you are now and where you would like to be. That's what the Empress is asking you, is to be open to really being, what is your 10-year goal? What's your 3-year goal? What's your 10-year goal? Let's look at that. Since you work usually in smaller, right? Capricorn, for instance, works in the largest time frame. Like they have 30-year goals, right? Capricorn energy can look in 100 years, right? They're like, let's talk about the next generation, right? That from the beginning of life to the end of life. You, Taurus, I guess it's helpful here to maybe you want to make a 3-year goal and a 1-year goal. Let's do something small. I would also say, did we say 3? 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. So it's now till October, till December. I want you to please make goals like this. This would be helpful. What changes do you need? What changes need to happen? What changes are you anticipating that you are preparing yourself for? I would also say, if you could, please fast forward into 3 years, 10 years from now. Try not to think about what the other people in your life. And I know that's hard for you. But really, like, how do you visualize yourself in this space? In the future, you will have a choice. Right now, that choice is kind of bound up. This goes back into that 2 months. Maybe it would be, again, more July would be a good time to make a decision. There's somebody here that drinks too much, or somebody here that is not responsible. Look at this face. They're just like, I don't care. It's so... like unaware of what's going on. But this king of coins, this is you in the future, okay? And this actually represents home. No, it doesn't matter. I'll figure that out later. So this king of coins is looking over at this little page. So any of you who have children, they need some direction. Maybe some of your children are taking on, if you have children around you or other people around you, please remember your influence upon them. Now, as this is your reading, let's look at it that way. Right, a lot of times, let's talk about this for a second. So a lot of times in life, people will, let's say we'll talk about it astrologically for a minute. So some people, for instance, they'll look at their seventh house of other people and be like, oh, that's how other people treat me. This is how other people work. And then, oh, fifth house, this is how my romance works. So this is how my kids act, whatever. Third house, your siblings, your friends, whatever. But the reality is everything in your map, the way you're set up, Taurus, everything in you is actually how you perceive it until you change your perception about it. And in essence, I suppose it is the lesson that you are meant to learn, and sometimes even the hard way, until you come to a place of understanding the ability to be able to look at it differently, right? Let me give the specific example of the epiphany that I had for you this morning from the information from my friend. So I was talking to my buddy the other day, and he's actually going through a hard spot, but he came to me in a dream, so I thought I would reach out to him, and I did, and it was a nice conversation, for the most part, but there was he has this beautiful house and this beautiful piece of land, and he bought it a long time ago, and he paid $13,000 for this house with like 25 acres with an apple orchard. Okay. And I was like, wow, what? 13 grand? You know, like, this is to today's standards, this is nothing, right? This is nothing. And so I was just like, wow, that's amazing, you know, good for him. And then the epiphany that came today was, I remembered a couple times where I was just like, you know, I remember I had like, you know, $5,000 in the bank, and I was at a certain time, or like I had a good chunk of money to be able to put down on something, and I didn't. I could have, but it's not that I didn't because I didn't want to. I didn't because I didn't realize that was even an option, right? Because I wasn't supposed to do that at that point in time, or I didn't have the ability to be able to conceive that this idea was even possible. Does this make sense? And now at this point in my life, it's like the other end of the story, where like, now that I've had all this experience of traveling around a lot and like going to all these places and experiencing all these things, that now I'm in a place to be able to feel like, want to feel settled and would feel comfortable in being in one place for an extended period of time, right? Content in that space, you know, not have the wandering, you know, vagabond spirit, thank God. So remember that your mentality, how you think about things and what you talk about it's really important to equating what you want the change to be. So I feel like it's helpful to consider what the good influences are around you, to who is mature and who is not, where you are mature, where you are immature right now, right? Like a seed, right? Like, is something just a seed? Is it a little tiny plant? Is this something that you need to harvest? Do you know what I mean? Maybe you want to think about these kinds of things. Now, Libra actually had the Empress in their reading, and I feel as if that's your other Venus. That's how you figure out how to deal with other people and your one-on-one relationships with that's how Taurus learns how to communicate, is by paying attention, like tapping into Libra energy. Because otherwise the bull doesn't say anything except when it's frustrated or it's hungry. It's almost like a baby is like it just makes like a sound but it doesn't have the words. Libra is how you find the words to express it. Okay. Let me see what this conversation is between these people. A child is just like their parent here. Rebellion and defense. Oh, Mars in Aquarius, Mars in Taurus. So Mars is in Aquarius right now, in sidereal. So we'll just say Mars is in Aquarius right now. This is kind of a battle with the mind, right? A little bit. It's like maybe you need to have a hard conversation with yourself. Let's see. This just landed on your future choice. Birth. Okay, beautiful. So this is Venus in Cancer. There we go. There's another emphasis of something really beautiful. Within Cancerian energy, Cancerian time. So July. July, there's something really big there. And now you have the card of optimism. So well, I just keep seeing radishes, which are like elongated, right? Well, I'm seeing French radishes, I guess. I don't know why. They're pink and white, the ones I'm seeing. Pink and white. So this is red and white. So this is like a masculine, feminine dynamic. And I'm also seeing something about like the birth of something. Right? It's like you need these life forces. You need these correct life forces to be able to make something happen. Okay, you have the card of submission, choice, and then friendship. So wherever there is where you feel, if you feel as if you are in a cage about something or you feel stuck, right? You're here for a reason. There must be something. 2222 that is wanting you to surrender and then wanting you to be stronger about. Now again, the door, I need you to know, the door to the prison, the door to the frustration, wherever it is that is uncomfortable, the door is always open for you to go into a new space. And maybe for some of you, you have to let go of a feeling, or you have to maybe some of you need to move, or some of you need to, decide, right? Right now, astrologically too, so you know, the South Node has been, it's trining Neptune and Jupiter, right? And so this is really figuring out how you feel about, this is collectively, like how people are, we're all supposed to look at how our relationships are to each other, one-on-one, and to the group. Now, of course, with Libra, remember, you're, again, other Venus, the relationship to the self, which is in essence the relationship to your creator, is the most significant to determine, right? Usually when one's faith space is low, then the space to others is interrupted. Do you know what I mean? And we are meant to make choices there, because right now, Juno, Vesta, parts of Fortune, like there's so much squaring that South Node and Libra energy, which is meaning that there's going to be, for some of you, some really beautiful, if you're willing to be open to the change, right? Then there's, the South Node not only takes away, but it also gives you really soulful, connective energy from deep from the past in a positive way. It's like a gift, but you have to be open to the change, right? You can't just, because you have to let it out to be able to have more room to let something in. I suppose some of you could I guess we'll just go into this for a second. Some of you could have like a casual, like maybe some of you were attracted to a friend, or what are your friends lustful for? Principle and patience. Wow. You're a very understanding person, right? Taurus, I feel like it would be really helpful for you to pay attention to all the fixed energy right now. Leo, Aquarius. However you do, the less Scorpio will bite you. But remember, Leo's the only way to get out of the fixed energy. All the other ones just stay the same, right? And I know you want more love in your life, right? You have to trust yourself in ways of connections with other people, romance, sex, whatever. What was the problem? What was the problem or the challenge of your previous, of your previous romantic relationship? If you've been married forever, it's like, what was the last problem? Or maybe you want to go back to what was the first problem, right? What was the first fight? Because remember, your first fight's your last fight. Now, but you addressing challenges is also very good, right? Let's see here. Achievement and idealism. So what are you wanting to achieve? And what is that ideal? Because you know what? If you shoot for the stars, Taurus, you'll get pretty darn close because you are so persistent. Now, do you have to still address the hard parts and not just like be that bull and like push through where it's uncomfortable? Yes. You have to pick your head up and realize that you are a human being and have a conversation, sometimes even a hard conversation. Now, can you have that hard conversation backed by optimism? Absolutely, you can. And if you're feeling separate for some reason, say from others, like from being in the circle, or like where you're wanting it to be, I don't know. I feel like someone feels a little outed, a little bit. Like there's what is that? Versatility. Oh, I suppose that this is, if you're not feeling as connected as you want to others, this means that you were supposed to be doing something Saturnian for yourself. Like, do your own thing, right? What's your own thing? You know what? And I see again, what are you growing? And then you have fortune on the bottom with inspiration and authority and excitement and enterprise and health and decision. Right? So if you choose to take care of yourself, right? Then all of a sudden you figure out, you start looking at the whole board, right? Then you realize how many moves you actually have, how much opportunity you really have. This gives you excitement for, oh, I can do this. It's like a Libra. It's like, oh, if I do, okay, so I feel like you work like this, to close this out. It's like you have your feet in a place, and then you sort of go in the field, wherever the field is, wherever someone else determined the boundary. You have to realize there is no fence. Okay? And now when it comes to Libra's just like, wait a second, where's the door out of here? Can I jump over that fence? Do you have any tools to undo that? Like, okay, if we go this way, well, what's going to happen? Oh, if we go that way, well, this and this will happen. It's like, be open to maybe some sort of brainstorming of what something could be and what your options are with what you're working with now. And please have that good self-authority. Okay? Because although Taurus rules the first house, historically speaking, I understand now why it became Aries as the first house. Because if it was Taurus as the first house, nothing would get done. No offense. Because Taurus energy is domesticated. So you have to be told a lot by other people what to do to be able to figure out what to do. But then it's supposed to be getting to a place of realizing that, no, I can tell myself what I have self-authority. I get to choose what I want to do with my life. Wheel of Fortune. And maybe that's part of the mentality shift that for some of you needs to happen. Right? And you know what? If you do, Six of Wands, Zinga. Because you know what? I love you so much. So Capricorn pulls your energy, right? That Capricorn is Earth to Taurus is Earth. Capricorn pulls your energy. Capricorn to me is stronger than you because it's Saturn, not Venus, right? Well, Capricorn's reading talked about going 2 steps ahead, right? 2 steps ahead of elevation. And as you are a step-by-step person, you have to prep yourself and be excited for what not just the next step would be, but what these longer term goals are, so that when Saturn takes that big, when that goat jumps 20 feet to the new space, you feel ready and confident in yourself. Okay? Yes, King of Coins, there you go. You know, not like some little confused page, you know, hiding behind mama's skirt. And if you're too close to a problem for something, for some reason, and you feel like you can't see it, or you're kind of torn where you're like, you feel like, well, I can only do, there's just this or that, like, you know, it's almost like, well, like if there's a negative mentality around something, I feel like some advice would be very helpful for you. Yes, Death. It would be very helpful for you to understand a little bit more about what's going on, because well, you're so powerful and intuitive when you want to be, when you're in tune with your own feelings, don't hide them. Yeah, King of Swords. And I would say, again, Libra's reading could be very helpful. I'm also seeing this as Aquarius. And I would pay attention again to any disagreements you have with other people. And if anyone has, again, I see like a drinking problem or some kind of addiction problem, there's something here where you want to, how influenced are you by others, I guess, is the question. Yep. Empress wants to know. Okay. I went back to that worthy of admittance reading, and where it had that cord that you had to cut from your family. You know, that whatever, where you make your own energy. So maybe that could be helpful, worthy of admittance. You might want to watch that one. I'll link that. You know, it's interesting too. I feel as if this whole month, which is interesting during Taurus time, I guess, tropically speaking, is that it's almost as if everyone's like getting a part 2 of something. It's like a sequel to something that we talked about before. It's like another level of it. or almost like a repeat, to be like, okay, let's talk about this again so we can get to the next, you know, like you're like worthy of admittance too. You're worthy of admittance as well, Taurus. Don't forget. Okay? No. And I would definitely make sure that your finances are in order too, with this Saturn that's pulling you. And please realize who you are devoted to. And realize that you have a lot of power of decision, please. Don't ever think that you don't, or that you're not allowed to have an individual one about it. No. And how do you deal with drama, by the way? Secrets, things like that. Okay. Love you, Taurus. Hope this was of service. Happy birthday. I know, it's just, it's Opal Oracle. What can we do here? Six of Pentacles, I guess, you know. Sometimes a coach isn't always going to, you know, let you know what position. A coach will let you know what position. Somebody else talked about this. A coach will let you know the position of where you need to be within the group. The mentor is going to help you to understand what direction you need to go as an individual. Maybe you want to think about who these two are in your life right now. Who is your mentor and who is your coach? Okay. And what do you find attractive in other people? All right. I love you so much. Again, thank you for your support. Happiest birthday. I hope it's great. The very beginning of the month is a really beautiful time for planting, by the way. The end of April, the beginning of May. So please feel free to plant some seeds. Yeah. Many of you too have joined the Garden of Patreon or extended your education. Thank you so much for that as well. It's always a pleasure to connect over there. In addition, it's a little bit more intimate of a space because it's smaller. But if you've already been over there, thank you. And if you'd like to check it out, please feel free. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.